Donald Trump sat down for an interview with Bloomberg, and he made some comments that honestly should terrify you because it says something about his strategy moving forward, and it's not going to be like other Republicans have been in the past. So he said, 5-10 years from now, different party. You're going to have a workers' party, a party of people that haven't had a real wage increase in 18 years, that are angry. What I want to do, I think cutting Social Security is a big mistake for the Republican Party. So he elaborates on that, and he goes on to say, yeah, no, my entire purpose here, my entire point, my whole campaign is about turning the Republican Party into a workers' party. And he's saying, hey, I don't want this to be the party of the rich anymore. I don't want this to be the party of Wall Street. What I want to do is come along and make this a party for the people. Now, people online, on social media, on Twitter, they went in on this and they laughed because when he says it's a workers' party, typically there are two different kinds of people on the political spectrum that use the term workers' party. You have people who are basically socialists and on the left, and you have people who, there are some instances, I think in Europe, of people calling super far right-wing nationalist parties workers' parties. So you have, those two extremes, and he throws it out there, perhaps unaware that what you're doing is you're saying you're either a socialist or you're saying you're a crazy person on the super far right that's an ultra-nationalist and super racist. We kind of know he's some of those things, but he says that, and I don't think he's aware of that. But honestly, I don't think that the reaction from Twitter and social media really made much sense, because what people hear, normal people hear when they hear Workers' Party, is they hear, oh yeah, he wants to look out for the people. He wants to look out for the middle class. And therein lies Donald Trump's appeal, and this is something the Republican establishment has not been able to pick up on. You have Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, Jeb Bush, all the other clowns on stage debating him, and they think they're having this serious policy discussion where they say, oh yeah, totally, we got to do more so-called free trade deals and outsource more jobs and screw over more American workers, and we got to cut Social Security. Reform Social Security and Medicare. We got to privatize these things and make it so that the care gets worse and that these things aren't benefits anymore that you get with your tax dollars and you got to pay more out of pocket. That's what we have to do because we're super serious Republicans. Guys, they're only saying that because that's what their donors want, and they're trying to appease their donors, and that means fucking over their constituents in the process. Donald Trump comes along and he goes, no, I don't want to cut those things. Of course I don't want to cut those things. People paid into it. They're just getting back what they're owed. And he goes on and on. Oh, with China, fuck you, you're terrible. Oh, all these free trade deals are horrible. What if I slapped a 45% tariff on things that if you leave the country and your corporation tries to send the goods back in the country, fuck that. No, well, he doesn't say fuck that. But we're going to slap a tariff on it. So he says all these things, and then the idiots in the Republican establishment, oh, gosh, golly, I don't know why he's winning. How is he winning? Because the other idiots are promising to screw over the American people, and they're saying it outright, whereas Donald Trump, he pretends like he's on their side. Now, I think when push comes to shove, he'll end up screwing them over too. But at least he pays lip service to these things that, the American people go, in both political parties, that's what I want. So I've maintained this from the beginning. If he uses this strategy, it's over for Hillary Clinton. It's over for her. Again, you'll go, oh, come on, she's Hillary Clinton. She's inevitable. No, the polls already show that in the average of polls, she's down to Donald. Now, it's a statistical tie because it's under 1 point that she's down. But she's down to Donald Trump. I mean, fucking fire alarm, son. Let's go crazy. What's wrong with you? She's down to Donald fucking Trump. And I think that she's poised to run a general election campaign that's too far right on the political spectrum. She's going to pivot to his right on many issues, including foreign policy and trade. Terrible idea. And then whenever she pays any lip service to so-called progressive ideals, it'll just be identity politics. And identity politics is not something that resonates in the way that economic populism resonates. When all you talk about is identity politics and, oh my God, I'm a woman and therefore I'm anti-establishment and, oh God, finger wave at white people, you suck and black people are awesome. When you make those arguments in the way that Hillary Clinton does, Bernie brings up facts when he talks about these things. She doesn't. She just talks about emotion and she's vague and generalized. Well, that's only going to alienate people. That's not going to get people on your side. So you're poised to only make certain arguments that are left-wing arguments in the worst way, and then the other arguments you're going to pivot to the right and make arguments that are honestly probably to the right of Donald Trump in many respects, and then you expect to win the election when this guy's out there going, Oh, you're crooked, you're corrupt, you're terrible, and I'm going to look out for the people. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure we protect Social Security and Medicare, and guess what? I'm going to rebuild our infrastructure instead of doing the wars. That's another talking point that he's used repeatedly. Now, the other half of the time, he uses the other talking point of let's do more war, standard Republican, but sometimes he says let's not do it. So it's not looking good, and the reason why it's important this time around, because I've gone back and forth on this in my analysis of it, and Donald Trump has gone back and forth on the argument he uses, and he probably will continue to a certain extent. But the way he framed it here, it leads me to believe that he's actually committed on some level in the general election to totally snub the dumbass Republican strategists and to say, no, I actually know better than you do on how to get votes. And the way I'm going to do that is to actually be flat out leftist in some of my talking points and in some of my policies. So if he does that, it's just over for Hillary Clinton. You know, I've already told you that he's a slight favorite, and not just based on my opinion, but also based on the polling. The most recent poll has him up 2 points. There's some polls that have him up 5 points in a general election. I think that not only is he a small favorite anymore, he's just a favorite. You know, I don't know what numbers I'd put on it right now because I don't like to give, you know, hardcore predictions or anything like that unless I have so much data that I'm almost guaranteed that I know I'm going to be right. But I would go further than just saying he's a small favorite. As of right now, I'd say he's just a favorite. And the people who are arrogantly still saying Hillary Clinton has got this don't know anything about Hillary, don't know anything about how she runs her campaign, and don't know anything about how to appeal to anybody in a general election or a primary election. She's coasting based off that name recognition and Democratic loyalists who just shut the fuck up and go pull the lever for Clinton because, hey, it's a Clinton. Is that something that's going to override somebody who's really tapping into populism and basically mixing some of Bernie Sanders' platform with racism and xenophobia that his base likes? That's going to be a hard person to beat.